What happens when Hollywood's most beloved funny man completely loses it on live daytime television? It only took 25 seconds for a friendly conversation to explode into one of the most shocking confrontations in talk show history, leaving the entire studio in absolute chaos. Before we dive into this unbelievable story, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We bring you daily videos exposing Hollywood's darkest scandals, and trust us, you don't want to miss what we uncover next. Last night on The View, things took a turn that nobody could have predicted. Danny Devito, the legendary actor known for his roles in everything from Taxi to It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, sat down with the panel for what was supposed to be a fun, light-hearted appearance promoting his latest project. The energy in the studio started off great, with the audience applauding enthusiastically as Danny walked out onto the set. He was his usual charming self, cracking jokes with the co-hosts, doing a little dance for the crowd, and getting everyone laughing right from the start. The audience was loving it, some people even standing up to clap. Danny waved, blew kisses, and settled into his seat with that infectious grin everyone knows and loves. Whoopi Goldberg kicked things off by asking about his new comedy special, and Danny launched into a hilarious story about filming mishaps that had the whole studio roaring with laughter. He described a scene where he had to ride a motorcycle but kept falling off because his legs were too short to reach the ground properly. The way he acted it out, complete with sound effects and exaggerated movements, had everyone in stitches. Joy Behar chimed in with her own joke about height, and Danny played along perfectly, showing off that quick wit he's famous for. "Hey, I might be short, but I'm tall where it counts," he quipped, pointing to his heart, which got huge laughs and AWS from the audience. He talked about working with his longtime friends, about the pranks they pull on set, and about how much fun he still has making people laugh after all these years. Sonny Hostin asked about his decades-long career in Hollywood, and Danny got a bit more serious, talking about how the industry has changed over the years. He spoke about the friends he's made, the incredible experiences he's had, and how grateful he feels to still be working after all this time. He mentioned young actors he's mentored, talked about how technology has changed filmmaking, and reflected on the difference between Hollywood in the 1970 seconds versus today. Back then, we didn't have cell phones. We didn't have social media, Danny explained. You could actually have a private life. You could make mistakes without the whole world documenting it forever. It was a different time. The other hosts nodded, relating to his points about how fame has changed in the digital age. The audience was eating it up, nodding along, clearly charmed by his humility and warmth. For about 15 minutes, everything was perfect. This was exactly the kind of interview everyone expected. Funny, warm, engaging, with just enough depth to be interesting without getting heavy. Then, Alyssa Farah Griffin decided to change the conversation's direction entirely. "Danny," she said, leaning forward with a serious expression, "you've been very vocal about your political views over the years. You've supported various progressive causes and candidates. But recently, there's been some criticism about Hollywood celebrities getting involved in politics. Do you think actors should stay in their lane?" The question hung in the air for a moment. You could see Danny's expression shift slightly, his smile fading just a bit. The other co-hosts exchanged quick glances, sensing the sudden change in atmosphere. The studio audience, which had been so lively just seconds ago, went quiet. "Stay in our lane?" Danny repeated, his voice taking on an edge. "What lane is that exactly? Alyssa?" Alyssa didn't back down. "Well, you're an entertainer. Some people argue that celebrities using their platforms for political messaging can be divisive, and that maybe it's not always helpful to the causes you're trying to support." Danny sat up straighter in his chair. "Let me get this straight. You're asking me if I should shut up about things I care about because I'm an actor?" "That's not what I said," Alyssa replied quickly. "I'm asking if you ever consider that your celebrity status might sometimes overshadow the actual issues." "My celebrity status?" Danny's voice got louder. I've been fighting for workers' rights, for health care, for education since before you were born. I don't use my platform. I am a citizen who happens to have a platform. There's a difference. The tension was building fast. Whoopi tried to interject. Okay, let's maybe. But Danny wasn't done. You know what this sounds like? This sounds like you're telling me to shut up. Because you don't agree with my politics. That's what this is really about, isn't it? Alyssa's face flushed. I'm not telling you to shut up. I'm asking a legitimate question about the role of celebrities in political discourse. It's something people talk about all the time. People? Danny shot back. Or conservatives who don't like what we have to say? Because I notice nobody ever tells celebrities to stay in their lane when they're supporting conservative causes. Nobody told Clint Eastwood to stick to movies. Nobody told Arnold Schwarzenegger he couldn't be governor because he was an actor. That's different, Alyssa said. Arnold actually ran for office. He participated in the democratic process. And I'm not allowed to participate by using my voice? Danny was really heating up now. That's rich. Really rich. So, I can vote, but I should do it quietly? I should keep my opinions to myself because I'm famous? Joy tried to lighten the mood with a joke, but Danny was too fired up to let it go. He turned his full attention to Alyssa, his eyes blazing. Let me ask you something, Danny said, pointing his finger at her. You worked in the Trump administration, right? You were the White House Director of Strategic Communications? Alyssa nodded, clearly not liking where this was going. Yes, I did. So you used your position, your platform, to push political messages every single day. That was literally your job. You stood at that podium and defended policies, promoted agendas, spoke to the American people about what you thought they should believe. But now you're sitting here telling people like me that we should think twice about speaking up? That's completely different, Alyssa protested, her voice getting tighter. I was in government. That was my professional capacity. I was elected. Well, appointed to represent the administration. Oh, so it's only okay if you get paid by the government to push an agenda. Danny's voice dripped with sarcasm. But if I use my own voice, on my own time, to support causes I believe in, that's somehow inappropriate? Help me understand the logic here, because I'm not seeing it. You're twisting my words, Alyssa said, her voice rising now too. I'm talking about the effectiveness of celebrity activism, not whether you have the right to speak. Those are two completely different conversations. Are they? Danny leaned forward. Because it seems to me like you're questioning whether I should speak up at all. That's what stay in your lane means. It means shut up. Don't pretend it means anything else. Effectiveness? Danny laughed bitterly. You want to talk about effectiveness? I've helped raise millions of dollars for charities. I've brought attention to issues that needed it. I've used whatever fame I have to actually help people. I've knocked on doors for candidates. I've made phone calls. I've shown up. What exactly is ineffective about that? Sonny jumped in, trying to defend Alyssa. I think what Alyssa is trying to say is that sometimes celebrity involvement can make political issues seem less serious, like they're just entertainment. Like people might not take climate change as seriously if they think it's just a Hollywood talking point. Danny turned to Sonny, his frustration evident. With all due respect, that's bull. If anything, celebrities help get people engaged who might not otherwise pay attention. When I talk about healthcare, people listen who might not read policy papers. When I support education funding, I reach audiences who don't watch C-SPAN. We make politics accessible. We make it part of the conversation. That's a good thing, not a bad thing. But don't you think there's a responsibility that comes with that? Alyssa pressed, not willing to let it go. Don't you think you should be careful about the messages you're sending when you have millions of people listening? What if you're wrong about something? What if you promote a policy that turns out to be harmful? I am careful, Danny's voice boomed across the studio, making several people in the audience jump. I'm very careful. I think about what I say. I research issues. I talk to experts. I read. I listen. I don't just spout off random opinions because I'm famous. And you sitting here questioning my judgment, my intelligence, my right to participate in democracy? That's insulting. That's really insulting. The audience was completely silent now. This had gone way beyond uncomfortable. The cameras were capturing every moment of the escalating confrontation. The other co-hosts looked like they wanted to be anywhere else. I'm not questioning your intelligence, Alyssa said, though her tone suggested otherwise. I'm simply asking if you've considered the broader implications of celebrity political activism. The broader implications, Danny repeated slowly. You mean like people actually giving a damn about important issues? Like young people getting engaged in politics? Like raising money for candidates and causes that can actually make a difference? Those implications? I mean like celebrities sometimes supporting things without fully understanding them, Alyssa countered. Like jumping on bandwagons because it's trendy. Like making political statements that might be more about their image than about actually helping. You have to admit that happens in Hollywood. That was the wrong thing to say. Danny's face went red. His hands gripped the arms of his chair. Are you calling me a phony? His voice was dangerously quiet now, which was somehow more intense than when he was yelling. Are you saying I don't care about the things I speak up about? Are you suggesting that my decades of activism is just for show? I'm saying that the cynicism exists for a reason, Alyssa said, trying to sound reasonable, but coming off as condescending. A lot of people see celebrity activism as performative, and sometimes it is. You have to acknowledge that. Some celebrities, maybe, Danny conceded, though his voice was still tight with anger. But not me. I've been doing this work since before it was cool. Since before Instagram. Since before Twitter. I was supporting unions in the 1970 seconds. I was fighting for environmental causes in the 1980 seconds. I was advocating for LGBTQ rights when it cost you work in Hollywood. Don't you dare lump me in with people who just post a black square once and call it activism. Performative. Danny stood up from his chair now, clearly done with the conversation. You know what's performative? This conversation. This fake concern about the role of celebrities, when what you really mean is you want people like me to stop speaking out against the kind of politics you used to promote. That is absolutely not what I'm saying. Alyssa stood up too, her voice getting louder. You're putting words in my mouth. Am I? Danny challenged. Because it seems pretty clear to me. You don't like my politics, so you're trying to delegitimize my voice by hiding behind this celebrity should stay in their lane nonsense. It's transparent. It's really transparent. Whoopi was trying to regain control. Okay, we need to take a breath here. Everyone sit down. Let's have a civil conversation. But neither Danny nor Alyssa was sitting down. Civil? Danny laughed. There's nothing civil about telling someone they should be quiet because of their profession. That's not civil. That's authoritarian. Oh, please. Alyssa rolled her eyes. Don't be so dramatic. Nobody's being authoritarian. I asked you a question. A loaded question, Danny fired back. A question designed to make me look bad no matter how I answer it. If I say yes, celebrities should stay quiet, then I'm a hypocrite. If I say no, then I'm an out-of-touch elitist who thinks he's above regular people. It's a trap, and I'm not playing along. It's not a trap, Alyssa insisted. It's a conversation that needs to be had. With me? Danny's voice rose again. Why with me? Why not with the CEO who donates to political campaigns? Why not with the billionaire who buys newspapers to push his agenda? Why not with the megachurch pastor who tells his congregation how to vote? Why is it always actors who get told to shut up? Because you have disproportionate influence, Alyssa said, her voice firm. Because people listen to you in ways they don't listen to regular citizens. When you speak, millions hear it. That comes with responsibility. And that's my fault? Danny was almost yelling now, his face getting redder by the second. I didn't ask to be famous. I didn't seek out this platform. But I am. And I'll be damned if I'm going to waste that by staying silent on things that matter. You know why? Because I actually give a damn about this country, about people, about making things better. And if I can use whatever influence I have to help, why wouldn't I? And you think people who disagree with you don't care? Alyssa shot back, her own voice rising to match his. That's the problem with celebrity activism. It's so black and white. You're good, everyone else is bad. There's no nuance, no room for legitimate disagreement. I never said that, Danny protested, shaking his head vigorously. But you're damn right. I think some people are wrong, really wrong. And I'm going to say so. That's not being black and white. That's having convictions. That's standing up for what you believe in. Or are you suggesting I should just nod along with everything to avoid offending anyone? I'm suggesting, Alyssa said, choosing her words carefully now, that maybe, just maybe, you should consider that your celebrity status doesn't make you an expert on complex policy issues. That's all. Danny's eyes widened. An expert? Who said anything about being an expert? I'm a citizen, expressing my views. That's what democracy is. Or do you think only policy wonks and politicians should have opinions? Should we have a test? People need to pass before they're allowed to speak? Convictions or ego? Alyssa muttered, but the microphone picked it up crystal clear. Everything stopped. The studio went dead silent. You could have heard a pin drop. Danny stared at Alyssa with an expression of pure disbelief, his mouth actually hanging open for a second. The other co-hosts looked horrified. Someone in the audience actually gasped. What did you just say? His voice was shaking now, vibrating with barely controlled fury. Alyssa looked like she immediately regretted it, her face showing a flash of panic, but she didn't back down. Maybe she couldn't back down at this point. I said maybe it's more about ego than convictions. Maybe you like the attention that comes with being politically outspoken. Maybe it makes you feel important. The words hung in the air like a bomb that had just been dropped. Danny's whole body tensed. His hands were clenched into fists at his sides. You've got to be kidding me, Danny said, his voice low and dangerous. You're really going there? You, who worked in an administration that was all about ego, who worked for someone who put his name in gold letters on everything he owned, who couldn't go 5 minutes without talking about himself, you're going to lecture me about ego? That's different, Alyssa started to say, her voice wavering slightly. Stop saying that, Danny exploded, his voice echoing through the studio. Several people in the audience jumped. Stop saying it's different. It's not different. It's never different with you. You're a hypocrite. You used your position to push politics every single day. But when I do it, it's somehow wrong? You worked for one of the most divisive political figures in American history, a man who attacked anyone who disagreed with him. But I'm the problem for speaking up? Give me a break. Give me a damn break. The other co-hosts were frozen, not knowing what to do. This had gone way past anything they could redirect. The audience sat in stunned silence, watching what was essentially a full-blown fight happening on live television. I'm not a hypocrite, Alyssa said, her voice tight with anger. I was doing my job, and I'm doing mine, Danny shot back. My job as a citizen, my job as someone who cares, my job as someone who won't sit quietly while things fall apart. You don't like it? Too bad. I don't need your permission to speak. I don't need your approval. And I sure as hell don't need your lectures about staying in my lane. You know what? Alyssa said, her voice rising to match his. This is exactly what I'm talking about. You can't even have a discussion without making it personal, without attacking. That's the problem. I'm attacking? Danny looked genuinely incredulous. You called me an egotist on live television, and I'm the one attacking? You questioned my motives, my sincerity, my right to speak, and I'm the one who's out of line? You're twisting everything, Alyssa said, looking flustered now. I asked a simple question. There was nothing simple about it, Danny said. It was a hit job disguised as a question. And you know what? I'm done. I'm done with this conversation. I'm done with this interview. I'm done with people like you, who think you get to decide who has the right to speak up. Danny, please sit down. Whoopi tried one more time. Let's talk through this. There's nothing to talk through, Danny said, already pulling off his microphone. I came here to promote my project. To have some laughs? To enjoy the conversation. Instead, I got ambushed with some political gotcha nonsense by someone who can't see her own hypocrisy if it hit her in the face. I didn't ambush you, Alyssa protested. I asked a legitimate question that many Americans have. Many Americans, Danny repeated mockingly. Right, or just conservatives who don't like what people like me have to say. Be honest about what this really is. It's an honest conversation about the role of celebrity in politics, Alyssa insisted. No, Danny said firmly. It's an attempt to silence voices you don't agree with. And I won't be silenced. Not by you, not by anyone. I've been speaking up for decades, and I'll keep speaking up until the day I die. You don't like it? Change the channel. He started walking toward the exit, still pulling wires from under his shirt. Danny, please, Joy called out. Don't leave like this. But Danny was done. He turned back one last time, looking at Alyssa. You know what the real problem is? It's not that celebrities speak up. It's that people like you can't handle when we disagree with you. That's what this is really about. You want us to shut up because you don't like the message. Well, too bad. I'm not shutting up. Ever. This is so unprofessional, Alyssa said, shaking her head. You can't just walk off a show because someone asks you a hard question. A hard question? Danny laughed bitterly. It wasn't a hard question. That was an insult, wrapped in fake concern. There's a difference. But you keep telling yourself whatever you need to justify this. I don't need to justify anything, Alyssa said. I did my job. I asked tough questions. If you can't handle that, maybe you shouldn't do interviews. Maybe you shouldn't do interviews if you're going to attack your guests. Danny fired back. How about that? How about some basic respect? How about treating people like human beings instead of political opponents? I treated you with respect, Alyssa insisted. No, Danny said, his voice firm and unwavering. You didn't. You questioned my motives from the first second. You implied I was somehow less qualified to speak than you are. You suggested my decades of activism is just performative ego. You called me dramatic. You rolled your eyes at me. That's not respect. That's contempt. And that's why I'm leaving. Because I don't have to sit here and take this. I don't have to smile and nod while you question my character, my intelligence, my motives, my right to participate in democracy. I've earned my right to speak through years of showing up, of putting my money where my mouth is, of actually doing the work. I've earned my right to care. And I'll be damned if I'm going to let someone who worked for that administration, who defended those policies, tell me I should be quiet. There it is, Alyssa said. There's the real issue. You can't separate me from where I worked. You can't see past your own biases. Biases? Danny's voice rose one more time. You're really going to talk to me about biases? You, who just spent 10 minutes trying to delegitimize everything I believe in? That takes some nerve. That really takes some nerve. The producers were gesturing frantically from off-camera, probably signaling for a commercial break. But the confrontation was still going. I wasn't trying to delegitimize anything, Alyssa said. But her voice lacked conviction. Now, I was trying to have a conversation about an important topic. By attacking me, Danny said. By questioning my motives. By suggesting I'm just an egotist who likes attention. Yeah, that's a real productive conversation. If that's what you took from it, then maybe you need to look at yourself, Alyssa said. A last desperate attempt to turn this around. Danny stopped, turned slowly, and looked directly at her. The look on his face was something between pity and disgust. I know exactly who I am. I know what I stand for. I know why I speak up. I know the causes I've supported, the money I've raised, the doors I've knocked on, the conversations I've had. Can you say the same? Because from where I'm standing, you're still trying to spin for an administration that's over. Still trying to defend the indefensible. still trying to silence people who disagree, still operating from the same playbook of attacking anyone who doesn't fall in line. And I feel sorry for you. I really do. Because that's a miserable way to live. With that, Danny DeVito walked off the Views set for good, leaving a stunned silence behind him. The cameras caught every second of it, his determined stride, the way he tossed the microphone pack onto a table as he passed, the set door closing behind him with a definitive thud. The cameras kept rolling, capturing Alyssa's face, which was a mixture of anger, shock, and something that might have been embarrassment. Her lips pressed into a thin line, her arms crossed defensively across her chest. The other co-hosts sat frozen, absolutely not knowing what to do or say. Whoopi looked at the camera, then at her notes, then back at the camera. Joy had her hand over her mouth. Sunny was just shaking her head slowly, looking down at the table. Nobody spoke for what felt like an eternity, but was probably only 10 or 15 seconds. The audience remained completely silent, some people with their mouths hanging open, others looking at each other in disbelief. Whoopi finally spoke into the uncomfortable silence, her voice sounding strained. Well, that happened. That certainly happened. We're going to take a break. We need to take a break. But the damage was done. One of the most beloved actors in Hollywood had just walked off, one of the biggest daytime talk shows, after a confrontation that nobody saw coming. The last shot before the commercial break showed the empty chair where Danny had been sitting, his microphone lying on the floor where he'd dropped it, a symbol of just how badly things had fallen apart in those explosive minutes.